It's Friday, and thank you for joining us on the last edition of Prime Flash, coming to you live from My Media Prime Television with me, Dolly, Ngonde. The news starts now as at least 9 persons have died following a ghastly motor accident which occurred along the Edea-Douala stretch of road in the littoral region of Cameroon. In the report coming up, the cause of the accident is said to have been attributed to a head-on collision between a heavy-duty truck and a small Corolla car. As we get more details with Night Vona.
There are a total of 9 victims who perished in the ghastly motor accident along the Edea-Douala stretch of road. The accident occurred Wednesday, February 1, 2023, in the locality of Misoletu, situated between Edea and Douala in the littoral region of Cameroon. According to reports, the accident occurred following a collision between a Corolla car coming from Douala and a flatbed truck coming from an opposite direction. The collision resulted in a tragic death toll of 9 persons on the spot who were on board the Corolla vehicle, with 5 others sustaining severe injuries and other casualties recorded. In the meantime, the corpses of the deceased have been transferred to the mortuary pending burial arrangements, while the injured are responding to treatment at the Edea Regional Hospital Annex. It should be noted this accident comes less than 2 months after a similar occurred along Moyaekona Road in the southwest region, leaving 9 persons dead and several others injured.
May the souls of the faithful departed rest in perfect peace. Now, the effects of the recent price hikes experienced in petroleum products across the country, superimposed by the state, have had drivers and also commercial bike riders here in the city of Douala pleading with the government to come to their aid in also stepping up the fare or transport fare so that they too can be able to meet up with life's expectations. Talking to some of these drivers, Derek Jato, one of us, compiled the following report.
The reality is staring everyone in Cameroon in the face. It is true the Cameroon government price increase on petroleum products has gone into effect. But who is bearing the cost more? I am with George in his taxi here in the city of Douala. He told me that he has not made any profit from when the increased price on petroleum product was made official by the government, making no profit, but you are still out this second day working. I asked him. The reason why I am still out working is because my president, the president of Taxi Driver Syndicate, is in a meeting with administrative authorities of Douala, and he is there to defend our interests on how we can also step up the transport fare, at least to break even, he replied. The said meeting seemed heated, sources say, for this is the second day, but the both parties have not yet arrived at a point. At press time, it was midday for George the taxi driver. But to Dennis, a commercial biker here in the same city of Douala, his own day is just beginning.
I've started work late today because of the increment of fuel. See, I got up yesterday in the morning and we discovered that they have increased the fuel from 630 francs to 730 francs. That was so discouraging.
And I am his first client. But first, he must stop here for fuel. Today, Dennis is buying only 2 liters of petrol, and this is his reason.
2 liters because of the price that have been increased. I usually top my tank before working. At first, I used to put full tank before working, but now I'm not able to do so because of the increment. So the reason why I had to put only 2 liters of fuel, because I'm afraid that if I put the full tank, I might end up maybe not recovering my money at the end of the day.
Critics say the days ahead looks undefined, as the tide might change on who will bear the cost of this price increase on petroleum products in an economy already hit by economic hardship.
We stay in the streets of Douala to bring you updates as Cameroonians have continued reacting to the recent salary increment by the state, as well as that on petroleum products amidst the current economic crisis and inflation hitting the country at large. Digging deep into this bit, our reporter Eileen Sama was on the streets, like I mentioned, to talk with some denizens as she came back with the following report.
On Friday, January 31, 2023, the state of Cameroon announced that the salaries of state employees has been increased by 5.2% and the minimum wage increased to 41,875 francs CFA in an effort to improve the living standards of Cameroonians. On the other hand, some petroleum products witnessed an increase in prices, for instance, premium-grade petrol, gasoil, as well as kerosene. Since the changes were made, Cameroonian citizens and Douala city dwellers in particular have been reacting to this new status quo a few days after it was enforced. However, will this increase in salaries of civil servants and the minimum wage help Cameroonians cope or meet up with the high cost of living? Mambo Quiniva, a designer in Douala, says,
in my opinion, the increase in the salary of civil servants as well as those working in the private sector is not going any way to help them based on the prices of commodities now in the market. For example, the price of groundnut oil has an increase of approximately 1,000 francs. That is just for one commodity, to think of it. So, for example, somebody who earns 100,000 francs, an increase of 5.2 will mean an extra 5,200 francs. If just one commodity is already taking about 1,000 francs to balance up the increment in the prices, then how more of all the commodities? There's an increase in the prices of petrol, and this will obviously lead to an increase in the price of transportation. How much are they going to use as transportation to cover up their transport fare to and back from work in a month?
Gilbert Atangana also says little or nothing will change in the lives of Cameroonians.
The cost of life is very high. If you take some a man, you see, you cannot live with 41,000. Impossible. Look, the cost of the oil, the cost of the fuel, the cost of things, even the eggs, even the gari increase. So it's just to blind us, if I can say like that, because when one don't want revolt, so they just want to blind our eyes, to blow our eyes. They just give us a beer, you see.
As for Rigo Emmanuel, the government should rather create more jobs.
I think that won't help Cameroonians in any way because fuel prices and basic commodities will equally increase. And I think at this time, the government should create jobs. The government should create jobs for the youth, so that some families still can be state employees. Some areas can be upgraded with administrative units that will create more employment for the youths around that area. The government should encourage decentralization.
Nonetheless, the gesture was appreciated by others.
I thank the head of state for the increment of salaries. I hope he does more as the year runs. There is an increase in prices in the market. Coping with this is not easy. There is inflation in Cameroon.
More so, every Cameroonian, especially family heads, are now strategizing on ways to catch up with the new state of affairs in the country, further worsened by inflation.
You're watching the 9:30 a.m. Prime Flash, coming to you live from My Media Prime Television. Now, away from the price hikes and other stories related to petroleum products, let's now talk about the strike action which is taking place at the Bolloré Africa Logistics Company, as the strikers have been complaining against the non-payment of their benefits and the desire for the workers to be laid off based on legality rights. Details right ahead with Catherine Ikongwe in the report coming up.
Dressed in black to show their dissatisfaction, former workers at the Bolloré African Logistic Company in Douala, littoral region of Cameroon, have gone on rampage following the non-payment of their benefits. Their demands, according to sources, is also provoked by the sale and transfer of ownership of the Bolloré African Logistic Group to MFC Logistic and Transport Company. We want clear negotiations to be put in place by the government for those who are leaving the company and those who wish to stay. The over 408 workers who are protesting have subscribed to Section 42B2 of the Cameroon Labour Code through a letter to the Labour Inspector in the city of Douala by expressing their desire to be laid off in all legality with payment of their benefits. The strike action, according to the workers, is intended to spur the government to intervene and ameliorate the plight of these former workers of the Bolloré African Logistic Company.
You're welcome back. Let's now talk sports with Magdala Ayong Bisang, as Cameroon has been drawn in Group C of the upcoming Under-17 AFCON tournament scheduled for Algeria in the months ahead. Meanwhile, the UNIFAC, also defending champions, will face Mali, Burkina Faso and South Sudan. As we get it right ahead with the sports lady Magdala Ayong Bisang.
The Cadet Lions of Cameroon are the top-seeded team drawn in Group C of the Under-17 African Cup of Nations scheduled for Algeria this year, alongside Mali, Burkina Faso and South Sudan. Cameroon is among three former champions who will play in the same group, and it should be noted that the Baby Lions of Cameroon are defending champions of the Total Energies Under-17 AFCON. Two-time winners Cameroon and Mali will meet in Group C following Wednesday's draw in Algeria's capital city, Algiers. And the tricky group also includes former champions Burkina Faso, with Sudan just making their debut. Cameroon picked up a qualification ticket to the finals of the tournament as UNIFAC champions on home soil last month by defeating Congo and the Central African Republic to pick up the first ticket from the zone of qualifiers. Host nation Algeria were placed in a tough group against giants Senegal, Congo and debutants Somalia in Group A. Two-time Under-17 AFCON winners and five-time world champions Nigeria are in Group B, and so the Golden Eaglets will face Morocco, South Africa and Zambia in Algeria's city Constantine. The draws was conducted by CAF Director of Competition Kaed Nassar and African football legends Ibrahim Bekakshi of Algeria and DR Congo's Heritai Lunga. The tournament is scheduled to run from April 29 to May 19 in the cities of Annaba, Algiers and Constantine, and will feature footballers born on or after January 1st, 2006. Three stadia have been chosen to host the competition: the Nelson Mandela Stadium in Algiers, the Chadid Ham Laoui Stadium in Constantine, and the May 19, 1956 Stadium in Annaba. The four semi-finalists of the Under-17 AFCON will automatically qualify for the World Cup to be played later this year.
That report draws the curtains of this edition of Prime Flash. Thank you for your keen attention and also for making My Media Prime Television your #1 choice when it comes to information and other programs. The newscast was produced by Elvis Modika. I have been Dolly, Ngonde, for presentation. General coordination came from Faith Tata, as well as supervision from Kum Lunat. And we hope to bring you many more interesting programs, as we urge you to stay tuned. But for now, goodbye and happy weekend.